How's everybody doing? Are you okay? How are you surviving? How does everything feel? These are questions that I ask myself often. I feel like I have a lot of fatigue from trying to survive in this capitalist system my whole life, but more so lately, the last year and a half, 2 years, I guess since 2023, really. That's when my mother died of cancer. Um, and I find myself having difficulty being able to get on camera and talk about things because it's like I'm nobody. Just another person struggling amongst millions that are struggling. And knowing that, I tend to divert my time towards other people's stories. I mean, if you look through my channel, which is all over the place, I get it. But I go out in the public, I cover lots of different things, and I try to tell people stories, but then I try to package them in a way that I feel, at least from my perspective, that might resonate. But I'm probably failing in that because that's just my perspective and how I feel about things, and maybe not how other people feel about things. But it's been a tough journey, and I think the emotional trauma and the numbness and fighting through depression over the last few years has been rooted in a variety of factors, life factors that we all kind of go through. So I'm here to kind of talk a little bit about it, tell my story, and then maybe some of you can, resonate with that. Realize that it's not just me. This is kind of for me, really. I feel like I just need to put stuff out there and feel like I'm not alone. Because in the world of social media, it's such an individualistic society that we all kind of feel like we're just sequestered into these little microcosms of individual expressions that, we're at the mercy of these algorithm gods and these platforms, whether they lean one way or the other, of allowing people to tell our stories. And maybe some of our stories are boring, maybe some of them are not, maybe people relate, maybe they don't. But I just want to talk about it anyway, regardless of what happens, so I can just finally get some of these things off my chest. So, where to start? I don't want to sit here and tell my whole life story or anything like that, but I'll just give you a quick synopsis. I was born in Jacksonville, Florida, moved around a lot. My mom had a lot of problems, a lot of generational trauma transferred to me. So it wasn't easy living for the first 20 years of my life. I've experienced many different things, from physical and emotional trauma. I watched people beat on her, lost homes, living like a nomad for most of my life. A lot of loneliness too growing up. And of course, that translated into me once I hit high school, always switching schools over and over and over again, never really establishing any long-term friendships or connections. That kind of made me a little detached with many things. Probably developed my attachment style in life, which is kind of, I don't know the terms for it, either ambiguous or insecure attachment type of things. But deep-rooted hurt and anger. But yeah, I dropped out of high school, and then I worked all those jobs. I worked at fast food places, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, server at restaurants. Then I got into trailer plant building. I was building roofs and floors, and at some point plumbing, and even quality control inspection. And then coming from a military family that went back into World War II and Vietnam and Korea. Even lost a family member in '58 to a sniper attack. But I saw a sign. It's like, join the army. So I was like, you know what? I want to see the world. I want to do something and be part of something bigger than myself. So I joined in 2000. And I went to Germany. I deployed in support of America's wars, like Iraqi freedom, under Operation Enduring Freedom. And then peacekeeping missions, KFOR, NATO type stuff in Kosovo. Following the Bosnian conflict, we had presence there. We'd take rotation. So really busy for several years. And then I got out, and then I came back stateside. And then I worked offshore in the Gulf of Mexico on supply vessels and anchor handling vessels, basically contract serving for corporations like Shell, worked for companies like Hornbeck and Edison Schwest. I was in the engine department, did the oiler, wiper, engineer, QMed stuff. And I did that for like 4 years, and I went to college, got my associates. I finally started to think, well, the American dream, I've worked the blue collar stuff. I've worked my ass off. I was in the Army, engineering, all that stuff. And I want to see if there's something better. My first degree was a general education with a focus on science and biology. And then I went into my undergrad program, which was psychology. But the real goal of that, I chose psychology because I wanted to learn about myself and my own traumas and kind of grow as a person. But I was also in the ROTC program to commission as an officer and come back in. So I did that. And I commissioned in 2015 and went back to Germany as an air defender, and I worked in Patriot systems. And I served as a launcher platoon leader. If you don't know what that is, it's just we're in charge of the launching stations that are connected to what we call the fire control van. And it's a defensive type of operation. We just defend assets and stuff. Did that for like 3 years, and then I decided I wanted to go into medical service. And then I went into the Army Reserve, and then I became a public affairs officer. And that was pretty much what I was doing up until 2024. Now, to back up for a second, my mom, I guess in 2018, she developed breast cancer. And there's a lot of cancer in my family. And I was in Germany still, and then transitioning back to the States. So she kind of had to fight it alone, although I was able to at least give some kind of long distance support. But I kind of missed that fight for her. But she fought it and rang the bell. If you know, you know. And was fine for a while. She was in remission. Fast forward back to early 2023. She was really scared to tell me, but she was having some problems, and she lived in South Carolina. She's a nurse, had an RN license, and she was working at a place called Patrick B. Harris. And that was kind of a facility where patients that were referred mostly by the state for drug use, mental health problems, things like that, resided. So my partner, she ended up telling my partner. My partner told me because my mom was just so scared of how I would take it. Maybe she was scared of having the conversation, which I understand. I think we all feel like if we get a bad diagnosis, a life-ending diagnosis, it's really hard to open up and talk to your closest loved ones or your child about that. And, there's the initial shock and the disbelief. And then you go through the stages, And the only thing, and I was still working active contracts. So, I was making good money. I was a captain at the time, and they pay pretty well. I was making 6 figures doing what I do. And all I could think about was this woman. Even though I had a lot of trauma early in life, she grew too and got out of a lot of things that was bad for her. And she struggled and tried to find love, married 5 times, and just trying to find her place in her home. And she wasn't even able to buy her home until she was already in her 50s. And that goes along with this rapidly disappearing ideal of the American dream, which nobody really believes they have anymore. So, like I said, all I could think about was she deserves so much more than this. To work your entire life, and when she was diagnosed with cancer, she was still working at this place. But to work your entire life and never really get into just finally retire and have some time off, even in your old age, 40, 50 plus years working, you'd have no time left. So I did everything I possibly could. I hadn't bought a house yet my entire life. And at the time I was 43, I guess, going on 44. And it was like, well, now it's time. And I'm currently I was stationed, and I'm currently living in Kentucky area, but I'm stationed around the Fort Knox area. And I was like, well, I'm still tied to this place, but we can sell my mother's house, move her in with me, but I need to buy a place for her. And it took a while to find one. I had to make sure that, because she was starting to get immobile a little bit, and she had her good days and bad days. But, there can't be like stairs and stuff or obstacles coming in. So I found a place that fit all her needs, had the ramp out front, easy access, wide. Everything was wide kitchen, living room, things to make her comfortable. And by the time I finally got her moved over here, she was staying in a little apartment that I lived in before I bought the house with me so I can take care of her for at least a month. And then we finally got moved in the house, and then she was really getting bad. And it was coming up on Halloween, late September, rolling into October. And Halloween and Christmas are her main holidays. She really loved Halloween. She liked the scary stuff. So she liked the animatronics that looked scary, made scary things, the spirit Halloween experience, basically. And to me, at that point in life, it's like, we're always taught that we got to be frugal and save and prepare ourselves. That's the conditioning and the illusion of life that the capitalist type of system wants to ingrain in you. Because they just want you to basically work your whole life, like my mom. At that point, that was when something was starting to break in me. It's like, well, look what happened with her. She slaved to make other people money, and she did things to care for people. And in the end, she never even got to enjoy it, really. So I was buying everything, spending thousands of dollars on animatronics and making the place as cool and beautiful as I possibly could, so she could smile while she was in pain, knowing that she was going to die. And how she ended up going was, I was very overprotective, and I understand no one wants to lose their autonomy, even in the end. And I was trying to be careful of that, but when she walked around, it's like, let me go get it for you. I'll go do the laundry. I'll wash the dishes. I'll feed you. I'll cook. I'll do this. Because you've earned it. You deserve it. So we were at Spirit Halloween, and this was like the October 9th or something like that. And, I had my daughter there and my mom, and, she was actually on her feet that day and doing okay. And I'm walking around everywhere with her. We're looking at things, I know this is going to be the last Halloween. So she got a little tired, and she's like, I'm just going to walk back to the car. And I'm like, well, okay, that's not a problem. I'll walk with you. And she turned to me. She's like, honey, you don't have to go everywhere with me. I can walk to the car on my own. And of course I give her my own mom look, and it's like, it's really not a problem. I can walk out there with you. She's like, let me do it. Okay. And at that point, what do? You're just like, okay. I mean, I've been hovering over her. She deserves to have her space when she needs to. So she walks on, and I turn around, and me and my daughter keep looking at stuff for another 20 minutes. And I find a couple more things, like, oh, this will be cool. And I go to check out, and then as I go to check out, the girl at the checkout desk told me, "Was that your mom? Because she fell, and we helped her to the car." And I was just like, "Oh my God, the one time that I'm not there." And I take the stuff and rush out there, and she's just sitting in the car. She seems fine. In fact, she just seems embarrassed. She's like, "Oh, it's okay. I just feel more embarrassed. I hurt my wrist, but other than that, I'm okay." And I'm just like, 10 minutes of like, "Man, are you sure? Like, do we need to go anywhere?" She's like, "No, no, no." It's like, all right. So fast forward to the early morning of October 13th. I come upstairs, and it was early because I sometimes wake up frequently. Then I just get up. And it was like 4 or so in the morning, and she's just leaned over my kitchen sink in pain, moaning, just holding her back and just excruciating. And I'm like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, I've been in so much pain for hours." And I'm just like, "Okay, we're gonna go to the doctor. We're gonna go to the ER." And that's a scary thing. You're dying. You know that at any moment it could be the end, and that's frightening. At least for me, it's frightening. There's part of me that's like, I'm not scared to death, but then there's part of me that's like, no one knows what happens. Whether you're religious, spiritual, atheist, it's still, to me, all just your best educated guess. But it's still scary. And I had just bought a slingshot to take her in on a trip because her best memory is riding on my motorcycle with me, but she was too fragile at that point. So we were still planning to take that one final little road trip. So as I'm wheeling her out and the slingshot's outside, she's like, "Maybe." It was so sweet, but so sad to see her kind of lean up and barely be able to speak and said, "Maybe we can go in the slingshot." I'm just like, "When we get back, Mom." And she kind of laughed a little bit, and she says, "Okay, honey." And we go to the doctor. We check her in, and then we're just in the waiting rooms. And doctor finally comes out, and he's like, "She has a pulmonary embolism, and her organs are shutting down, and there's not really anything we can do." This is Friday the 13th. Coincidentally enough, the freakiest day in Halloween. And I know there's a lot of people that have experienced pain and trauma like this before, having to be there with your parent in the final moments. And I stepped outside to smoke, and I came back inside. And she just kept saying, "I want to go home." And I really wanted to just grab her and take her, but I didn't know what to do. And the hospital was adamant on her staying there and trying to do what they could. But eventually they put her on a respirator. And I called her sisters that I don't really get along with, but they deserve to know. And they flew out. And we were all there for her final moments. And she was unconscious and just slipping away. And what really sucks is having to be the one on the power of attorney with a do not resuscitate order to make the decision to pull those respirators and watch your loved one take the last breath. I don't wish that on anybody, but hey, that's a part of life, right? And we were all naturally upset, in tears, and I haven't talked about this ever. it's a significant human being in your life, you know. And so she's took her last breath and she's gone, and she had this ring, a matching ring with me, and it had these little squiggly lines. It's supposed to mean like the water and flow of life that we're going through together. And we, ever since the cancer diagnosis, we wore them together. And I just kissed her on the forehead and I said, "I love you, Mom." And I slowly slid the ring off her finger because I didn't want to lose it. It's still in my box now. And that was that. And then having to just leave her body there so I could make arrangements. It just felt like such a business transaction. Oh, I was devastated for months, you know. And then, you know, I've always been really good at my job, high performer. But I took a little time off. And fun fact, the Army does not give you emergency leave for a parent, only for a child or a spouse, which is ludicrous to me. So I just take my regular leave and be charged for those, to take a little time off. And I wasn't quite the same. I was just really struggling for a long time. And then the election came around and President Trump, and I'm not trying to make this political, this is just my experience. He was elected, and being a trans soldier, I was put on the chopping block. So my contract ended in late 2024, October. I was not renewed. And then I was given specific guidance to never show up in my uniform again. So dealing with the loss of a loved one, you never quite fully heal. It's an ongoing thing the rest of your life. But then having decades of your service just kind of thrown away, you're not going to be allowed to retire. You feel like nothing. You feel like your whole life meant nothing. And all these capitalist ideas that they push into your head was just a scam. And then we look at everything now where everything's so unbelievably unaffordable. But then you see all these rich people, they just keep getting richer and richer. You see healthcare systems just denying people that passive violence is what I like to call it, that white collar violence. It's just, it hurts to be a human being here, at least for people like me or people in my position. And then what really hurts is people revel in it. There's other people that's just like, well, you're a scumbag anyway because of my label. Not because of what I did, not because I served in war or was a good taxpayer and did everything I possibly could or do advocacy work. You just see my face and I'm just a mentally ill person that doesn't deserve anything. So yeah, that's kind of where I am now in 2026. I spent all of 2025 just trying to find some kind of reason and purpose to keep existing. I have lots of different PTSDs from combat, military service life, and that takes a toll. It takes a lot of resilience to keep waking up every day and feeling like Groundhog Day. Oh, great, I get to get up and do this again. I cannot wait. And it's difficult. I thought I could serve communities by just going out to different things where people were hurting, want their stories be told, whether it's a progressive movement, whether it's a march, or like I'm currently filming a documentary about the homeless situation, the unsheltered situation in Louisville, because the systems to criminalize people that are living on the streets because everybody's freaking priced out. Private equity is owning everything and buying up everything, and corporations are locking everything so far down that it boggles my mind that people think this is a free country. Like, even my motorcycle that I had bought cash money several years ago, is still subject to property taxes every year. If I don't pay that property tax, they just gangsta take it. You pay off your house, they take it. But where I'm at now is I haven't been able to find any work since then. I have multiple degrees, an officer in the military, leadership experience, the resume stacked, and I just can't get anything really. But then part of my heart is like, why do I want to reintegrate into a system that chews you up and spits you out? Once you're no longer useful, or you got people in power that just don't like your face and they want to close off all opportunity avenues, so you can't make it. And then when you finally stumble and fall, our legislation across the country is like, it's also illegal just to be homeless. It's also illegal to even pitch a tent so you can sleep. Your basic biological functions are legislated. Don't pee outside and let anybody see you. Don't let anybody see your tent. Don't walk across a Walmart parking lot and look homeless and look bad, because then you're going to get a trespass. And it is so absurd that living and surviving is controlled and monetized. Now, I still have my home, but any moment it can go into foreclosure if it's not already, because I have not been able to make those $2,000 plus payments without work. How can I? But I'm at the point now, it's like, well, fuck it. And of course they build into the system, well, if you don't want that to happen because you'll get evicted or foreclosure, it stays with you forever. Of course it does. The system wants you to be penalized for being poor. And I'm a person that was successful my entire life, working offshore, 6 figures, military service, officer, high profile position, 6 figures. Now I lived poor as a kid, but now I'm like back in the situation at 46 years old. And I feel very alone. I'm in a unique situation and I don't know who to relate to. I tell people and they're like, that's horrible that happened to you. I'm like, it's horrible it happened to me. It's horrible that's happening to everybody. It's horrible that we live in a system ran by people that are supposed to represent the will of the people, and they don't really do anything about it. Or a group of people that just continuously brag about how rich and how great they're doing. It's like, well, I'm not. I did everything you're supposed to do. I walked the path. I got my college degrees. I served in the military. I served in federal government. And look at where I'm at now. Now I'm a little emotional right now, and I'll be okay. You gotta be a tough bitch. But it's just a daily challenge to be able to wake up, seeing everything that might have happened to you, and smile. And I'm sure so many people feel this way. I know I do. It's hard to get past the roadblock of what is the point. So, and the one thing that I am good at and that I'm passionate about, because I'm a creative, is trying to make short little films and emotional pieces that might resonate with somebody. And those that do watch them, they feel something, because I fucking feel something. And maybe this country is cooked at this point, and I'm willing to accept that too. In fact, I feel like a revolution probably needs to happen and things need to fall, but I just wish we could regain some compassion and sanity for people that obviously have brought something to the table and still can bring things to the table to make everything better for everybody, not for a few. So, in summary, I appreciate those that watch this video and listen to me. Gave me a moment of your time, maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes. I'll try to cut it down. But thanks for letting me have a space to get all this out. I really needed that. And if you're suffering like this and you're feeling like, what's the point? I understand you should still push to find a point. Maybe you don't buy into the capitalist system anymore. Maybe you don't buy into that American dream anymore. Maybe you realize that there's no place in this system for me, but that doesn't mean that there's no place for you. And I feel a lot more relief when I think about, I'll just live as a nomad. I'll live in my car. I'm minimalizing my life. I'm getting rid of the things I've collected my entire life, just so I'm no longer bound and a slave to my possessions and the attachments that I have with them. Letting all that go, because life's short. Capitalism, they want you to feel value with those things to keep you in your place. And at this point, I just say no to that. And you can too. I don't know what kind of journey you need to go on to get you to that point, but there's always an opening somewhere, and there's always a possibility. So much love to all my other people that are looking for their reason and their purpose. I'm slowly trying to find mine. I've been on that journey for a long time, and I encourage you to find value in yourself when the system wants you to believe that there is no value. Thank you for your time.